It was supposed to be one of those dumb nights you forget by morning. Friday, end of midterms, nothing to do except blow off steam and pretend like the mountain of responsibilities wasn't going to avalanche back down on us by Monday. We hit up this place near campus, half bar, half club, all chaos. You know the kind. Sticky floors. Laser lights flickering like someone with ADHD was running the booth. Pop remixes mashed up with EDM drops. Girls in denim skirts and crop tops. Guys in flannel shirts acting like bottle service makes them kings. And somewhere in the middle of it all, us. A couple of seniors, half sober and half hyped. I wasn't even drunk. I'd had maybe 2 drinks, a vodka soda and some pineapple thing my friend Hannah handed me. We were in a loose circle on the dance floor, all laughing, vibing, moving like idiots to bad music. No one cared how they looked. We weren't trying to hook up. Just kill time in a fun way. That's when I saw him. At first, it was just a blur. A guy weaving through the crowd. Kind of short, but wiry. Wearing all black. Shiny boots. Hair slicked back like he belonged in a different decade. He was grinning wide, like he knew something I didn't. Or like he was trying to sell me something invisible. I didn't think much of it. People brushed up against you all the time in places like that. Elbows and hips and sweaty arms. It's part of the price of admission. But then he was in our circle. Not on the edge, in it. He slithered in like he belonged there. And for some reason, he came straight for me. He didn't say anything. No hey, what's up? No nod, no introduction, no eye contact with anyone else. He just locked eyes with me wide, unblinking, too intense, and started dancing right up on me. I don't mean like beside me, or near me. I mean on me. Pelvis to pelvis. No space. No warning. I froze. For a second, I thought maybe it was some weird joke. Maybe he mistook me for someone else. Or maybe he was just drunk out of his mind. I turned a bit to the side and held up a hand between us. Hey man, I said, trying to keep it casual. I'm good, thanks. He didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't smile. He just leaned in closer, his mouth too close to my ear. I could feel his breath, it was hot and sour, like whiskey and bile. You dance good, he said, but it didn't sound like a compliment. It sounded like a threat disguised as praise. I laughed awkwardly and stepped back. Nah man, I'm just with my friends. It's all good. I turned toward Hannah, tried to act like it was nothing, but I felt him behind me. Closer now. I spun around again and there he was. Smiling. Moving his hips like some grotesque mime of seduction. And worse, his hands were out now, reaching toward me like he owned a piece of me. I put my hand firmly on his chest and pushed him back. Dude. Back off. Seriously. He stumbled a little. But not like someone who was shocked or embarrassed. He stumbled like it was part of the act. And then he laughed. Not loud. Not funny. Just a dry, wheezy chuckle that died halfway out of his throat. He stopped laughing just as suddenly as he started. His face went dead blank. No expression, just eyes that looked past me, through me. It was like the dance floor around us disappeared. The strobe lights flashed off his face, turning it ghostly pale every other second. I turned to move away, just blend back into the crowd and let it go, but then I felt it. A hand. His hand. Sliding down my back. It wasn't a bump. It wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. Fingers dragging across the fabric of my shirt, moving lower, until he grabbed a full handful of my ass like it was his to take. I shoved him. Hard this time. What the hell is wrong with you? I said, louder. A couple of heads turned. He stumbled back again, grinning, but there was something wrong about the grin now. It was like he wanted me to get mad. Like he was feeding on it. His hands went up in this fake little what did I do gesture, but the way he tilted his head was mocking, like he was daring me to do something. I said no, I snapped. Back off. I looked around for security, nothing. The bouncer had vanished from the front by now, probably taking a break. I thought about leaving, but my bag was at our booth, and my friends hadn't even noticed anything yet. Music was still blasting, people still dancing, no one really clocked what was happening. Then he came in again. This time faster. Aggressive. His hand reached forward, and I swear to God, he went for my crotch. He grabbed me. Right there. In front of everyone. And for a split second, I couldn't move. Not because I was scared, though maybe I was, but because my brain couldn't even process what just happened. Like my body had short-circuited. That's when I shoved him with both hands. Full force. He fell hard, landed against another guy's back, knocking over someone's drink. Now people were watching. But not him. He stood up slow. Still grinning. Still coming for me. He didn't flinch. Didn't look mad. Didn't even blink. He just stood up and started brushing off his clothes like he'd dropped a pen, not like he'd just groped a stranger and been shoved to the ground for it. I backed away, weaving through people, trying to get to Hannah and the others. My heart was thudding so loud it felt like my ears were pulsing with it. I grabbed her shoulder. Hey, we need to go. Now. She looked at me, confused. Why? What happened? I turned to point, but he was gone. Gone. Like he'd melted into the crowd. Like the club swallowed him whole. I scanned the faces. Nothing. No black outfit. No slicked back hair. No wide, hollow-eyed grin. I swear, this guy, he was touching me. Like, grabbing me, I said. I was talking fast, voice rising without meaning to. Her face twisted in concern, but also confusion. Are you serious? Are you okay? I told him to stop. He wouldn't stop. He laughed. I stopped myself. I didn't want to say the word grabbed again. Then I spotted him. He was on the second level of the bar, just up the stairs, leaning on the railing. Watching me. Just standing there. No drink in his hand. No friends. Just him. Elbows resting on the ledge like he was in his living room. Staring down. Right at me. Our eyes met again. And this time, he mouthed something. I couldn't hear it, but I saw it clearly. You liked it. My stomach turned. Hannah followed my gaze. Who is that? That's him, I said. That's the guy. Okay. Let's get a bouncer, she said immediately. We pushed toward the front, but it took longer than it should have. People blocking us. Couples dancing. One guy tripped in front of us and spilled beer on my shoe. I was trying to stay calm, but it felt like the whole building was working against me. When we finally got to the front and flagged down security, I pointed up to the second level. He was right there, I said. Black shirt. Boots. Hair slicked back. He assaulted me. The bouncer, some giant dude with a radio, nodded slowly. All right, let's check. We went upstairs. He wasn't there. Not in the corner. Not at the bar. Not in the hallway near the bathrooms. Gone. The bouncer looked at me sideways, like maybe I'd imagined it. You sure he wasn't just messing around? No, man. He grabbed me. He shrugged, not like he didn't care, but like he didn't know what to do about a guy who had vanished into thin air. I'll keep an eye out. And that was it. That was all the help I got. I didn't want to go back inside. Not even a little. Every fiber of my body was screaming to leave. But my phone was dead. My bag, along with my keys and charger, was still in the booth near the dance floor. And part of me, the dumb part trained to not cause a scene, thought maybe he just left. Maybe that was the end of it. I was wrong. We headed back down, and for a minute, everything looked normal. Too normal. People laughing. Couples grinding. A group of frat guys doing shots at the bar. Hannah and I pushed through until we reached our table, and then I felt it. That feeling. You know the one. Like you're being watched, even though your back is turned. I spun around. He was there. 10 feet away. Still. Just watching. Not dancing. Not even pretending to. Just standing. Eyes fixed on me like I was prey he was waiting to corner. But now there was something wrong with his face. His eyes. They looked glassy. Wide open. Unblinking. And his pupils, God, his pupils were huge. Swallowing the color. Like his body hadn't gotten the message that he wasn't in a dark room anymore. Don't look now, I whispered to Hannah. He's back. She looked. What the hell, how does he keep disappearing like that? I don't know. I don't know, I said, trying to stay calm. I grabbed my bag. That was it, I was done. We're leaving. We pushed toward the exit. He didn't follow. Not right away. He just watched. But right as we reached the front, I glanced back one last time. He was gone again. The exact second I turned. Gone. No footsteps. No movement. Like someone lifted him out of the scene with a giant invisible hand. And then, as I pushed open the exit, I caught a flash of something in the corner of my eye. In the glass door. His reflection. He was behind us. But when I turned, there was no one there. We spilled out into the cold night air. The street was buzzing, laughing students, the smell of fries from the food truck, a guy puking quietly in the gutter. But even with all that motion and noise, I felt more exposed out here than inside. We power walked toward the car. Okay, Hannah said, breath shaky. So what's the plan? I just want to go home, I said. Lock my door. Charge my phone. Just not be here. We were maybe halfway down the block when I looked back. There he was. About 30 feet behind us. Walking. Slowly. Calmly. Like he had all night. Like he already knew where we were going. Okay, no, Hannah muttered. No, I see him now. That's him. He's following us. Go, I said. Run. We broke into a sprint. Dodging people, cutting across the street without looking. The headlights of an Uber honked at us. We didn't stop. My car was in a lot 3 blocks away. The whole time, I was afraid to look back, but I could feel him. Like a magnet, just out of reach. We turned a corner. Ducking into the lot, we reached the car, keys already in hand. Hannah pulled the passenger door open, but as I fumbled with mine, I heard it. Footsteps. Fast. I looked up. He was running. Not drunk. Not staggering. Just sprinting straight toward us, arms pumping, face dead calm like he was going for a jog. Hannah screamed. Open the door. I dove in, slammed it shut just as he reached us. He slammed into the driver's side window with both hands, face inches from the glass, eyes wide. But still that same expression. No rage. No panic. Just that calm, stretched out grin. I started the car. My hands were shaking so bad I missed the gear the first time. He leaned closer. Pressed his forehead to the window. And mouthed it again. You liked it. I threw the car into reverse, tires screeching as we tore out of the lot. He didn't chase. He just stood there, staring as we drove off. We didn't talk on the drive. Just breathing hard, checking the mirrors, headlights swallowing the road as we tore through downtown like something was chasing us, because something was. By the time we got to my place, I felt like my skin was vibrating. I pulled into the driveway too fast, scraped the curb, slammed it into park. We sat there for a few seconds in the dark, engine ticking as it cooled. I don't even know what to say, Hannah whispered. I don't want to talk about it right now, I said. Let's just get inside. The motion sensor light above my porch flicked on. That's when I saw it. A folded piece of paper. Right on the welcome mat. Hannah saw it too. Did you drop something earlier? No, I said, already knowing. I haven't been home all day. I stepped forward slowly, heart pounding in my throat. Picked it up with shaking fingers. It was printer paper. Just one line. Don't pretend you didn't want it. No name. No signature. No explanation. Just those words typed in bold, all caps, like a warning left by something not fully human. Is this a joke? Hannah asked, backing toward the door. Like some sick joke? I didn't answer. I was already unlocking the door with trembling hands. We got inside, slammed it shut, bolted it, and turned every lock I had. Then I checked every room. Every closet. Under the bed. Even the damn shower. He wasn't there. Not yet. We turned on all the lights. Every single one. Sat on the couch with a baseball bat and a kitchen knife. Just in case. Hannah kept saying we should call the police, but what would I even tell them? Hi, a guy followed me from a club, sexually assaulted me on the floor, disappeared, reappeared, chased us on foot, and also somehow beat us home? They'd think I was high. I wasn't. That night, we tried to sleep. Hannah passed out on the couch eventually. I didn't. Around 3:12 a.m., the doorbell rang once. Just once. I didn't check it. I didn't need to. I already knew who it was. Every noise outside felt like him. Every car door, every gust of wind. I stayed frozen on the couch, clutching the bat, listening to Hannah snore softly beside me. By the time morning came, my eyes were burning. But when the sun rose, something strange happened. Nothing. No more doorbell. No knock. No envelope. Just light flooding in through the blinds, and a silence that felt wrong. I guess he gave up, Hannah said when she woke, stretching like it was just a bad dream. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But when I stepped outside to check, the porch was empty. No note. No man. Just the neighbor's cat licking its paw on my railing. For one moment, I let myself hope. But then my phone buzzed. An email. From an address I didn't recognize. Sent fromia1121@outlook.com. No subject. No message. Just one attachment. A video file. I didn't want to open it. I shouldn't have opened it. But I did. The screen flickered. It was security footage. My street. My porch. Time lapse. I watched in horror as the night sped by, cars zipping past, shadows sliding over my front door. Then, right around 2:57 a.m. there he was. From the left side of the screen, he walked into frame. Not sneaking. Not hiding. Just walking. Calm, like always. He stepped onto the porch. Looked straight at the camera. Waved. Then turned. Faced the door. Bent down. Slipped the note under the mat. He stood there for 15 full minutes, unmoving. Then he did something I'll never forget. He reached into his jacket. Pulled out a phone. And showed it to the camera. It was a live feed. Of my living room. From inside. From behind the couch. From somewhere I never saw him go. The screen went black after that. I dropped the phone. Nearly vomited. Hannah turned pale. There's a camera. In here. He was in here. I checked every vent. Every corner. Behind every photo and painting. I found it eventually. Behind a vent cover in the corner, facing the couch. Red light blinking softly like a heartbeat. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just stood there, staring at the tiny blinking red light in the corner of the vent like it was staring back. Hannah had her hands over her mouth, eyes wide, whispering, "Oh my God," over and over. I yanked the vent cover off. It wasn't even screwed in properly, just balanced there, like it had been removed and replaced by hand. Inside, a small black camera. Wireless. Battery powered. Taped to the inside wall with duct tape. I pulled it out and turned it over. There was a tiny white sticker on the back. Property of Greenline Tech Solutions. I'd never heard of them. But there was a serial number, too. And something else scratched into the plastic like it had been done with a knife. Room to room. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I checked the rest of the vents. Every single one. We found 2 more cameras. One pointing into my kitchen. Another, this one shook me the most, was wedged above the air vent in my bedroom. That meant he'd been in there. Inside the place I sleep. Watching. How? Hannah whispered, like she was afraid to ask. How did he get in? That's when it hit me. The crawl space. There was an access panel in the laundry room. Old house. Creaky panel door in the floor that I never used. I couldn't remember the last time I opened it. I grabbed a flashlight and swung the panel up. And the smell hit me. Rot. Not fresh. Old. Damp, dusty, and sour like a pile of laundry that had died underground. I hesitated, but Hannah was right behind me, shining her light down into the dark. There were footprints on the inside of the panel door. Bare. Dusty. Toes visible. He'd been climbing in and out. Recently. I went down. Dirt floor. Spider webs. Bits of crumbled insulation. And something shiny in the far corner, half buried. I reached it. Pulled it out. A knife. Rusty, old, but sharp. Wrapped in what looked like. Hannah gasped when she saw. It was a t-shirt. My t-shirt. One I lost months ago. Thought I'd left at the gym. No. He had it. He'd been under my house, watching through vents, filming us, stealing things, and he had a knife. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Another email. Same address. This time, no attachment. Just one sentence. It's not your house anymore. I didn't hesitate this time. I called the police. Hannah kept saying, he's gonna know. If he's watching us now, he's gonna see you calling. Let him. I didn't care anymore. I wanted out. I wanted someone else, someone official, to take this off my shoulders. The cops came fast. 2 squad cars, one marked and one unmarked. A female officer named Reyes took my statement while the other, Officer Dent, searched the crawl space. They asked all the usual questions. Did I know him? Had I invited him back from the club? Was there a misunderstanding? I showed them the email. The footage. The crawl space. The knife. The t-shirt. The vent cameras. That changed everything. Dent radioed for backup. They brought in a forensics team. Reyes asked if anything else was missing. I said I didn't know. I didn't care anymore. My house felt like a crime scene. I didn't want to touch anything. Then something else happened. While we were standing in the kitchen, going over timelines, Officer Dent walked in pale. Sweating. Holding something in his gloved hands. What is it? I asked. He showed me. It was a photograph. An old Polaroid. Faded around the edges. At first, it didn't register. Then I saw what it was. Me. Sleeping. In my bed. Taken from the corner of the room, same angle as the crawlspace vent. I felt sick. Reyes had to grab me when my knees buckled. That's not even the worst part, Dent said, and looked at Hannah. We found a mattress under the house. Blankets. Water bottles. Food wrappers. And, well, zip ties. My mouth went dry. He'd been living down there. Living in my crawlspace. Not for a day. Not for a weekend. Longer. That's when the third officer called from the bedroom. Sergeant? You need to come see this. We followed him. Into my room. Into my closet. He reached behind my hanging clothes and removed a thin black panel. A hole. A passage. Into the wall. I felt something snap in my brain. He wasn't just in the crawlspace. He was inside the walls. The officer slid the panel away with careful precision, revealing an opening in the drywall behind it. It wasn't huge, but it was enough for someone to squeeze through. I stood there, staring at it, my breath getting shallow. The hole looked like it had been dug out recently, the drywall edges jagged, but smooth enough to be hidden under my clothes. How long has this been here? Officer Reyes asked, her voice tight, her hand on her gun like she was already anticipating something to jump out. I don't know, I whispered. I've never seen it before. Never noticed it. The officer nodded and then turned to Dent. We need to check the other rooms. He could be in the walls right now. They moved through the house with methodical precision. It was like something out of a horror movie, like we were waiting for the monster to reveal itself at any second. Hannah was clutching my arm, her body stiff and shaking. The officers checked my bedroom, the hallway, the guest room, even the kitchen. But nothing else. Nothing immediately suspicious. Yet it felt worse. It felt like the walls themselves were alive. Like there were eyes behind them. I could almost feel the eyes, too. Watching. As they were wrapping up their search, Officer Reyes came back into the living room, face pale. There's something else. What? I asked, my heart hammering. What now? She handed me an old, crumpled notebook. The cover was a worn, brown leather, like something someone would pick up at a thrift store. But the pages. I could see the writing from here. It was all in my handwriting. What the hell is this? I muttered, flipping it open. It was full of notes, thoughts, observations, random ideas, all scrawled in my handwriting. The first few pages had a list of things I liked. My favorite music, books, the food I ate. Then it turned darker. Details about my daily life. My schedule. My job. Where I went to the gym. Wait, Hannah whispered, leaning in. That's not just your handwriting. It's like he was tracking you. I turned the page. The next entry was about a conversation I'd had with a friend, something that had happened weeks ago. I looked at the date. It was from last week. I wasn't sure if my stomach could handle much more of this. My world had shrunk to a space no bigger than this room, no bigger than my own skin. And then, the final page. The last entry. It read. Tonight. It's finally happening. He'll know. I'll make him see. He'll understand. My head spun. What the hell does that mean? Officer Reyes looked at me, eyes wide. He's planning something tonight. We need to get out of here, now. I didn't even think twice. Let's go. We need to leave now. Officer Reyes' face was tight with urgency. She signaled to the others, and within moments, the three officers were already moving fast, checking rooms, securing windows. They didn't need to tell me twice. I grabbed Hannah's hand and we sprinted for the door. The cold air hit me like a slap when I stepped outside, but I didn't care. I needed to get out of that house. Now. Reyes and Dent were already on the phone with their precinct, making arrangements for backup. "We're not taking any chances," Reyes said, her voice low but firm. "The entire house is compromised. We're securing the perimeter until we can figure out where he is." They loaded us into one of the squad cars, and as we pulled away from the house, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Not just with the house, but with everything. I kept thinking about that damn notebook, the entries that felt too personal, too intimate. How long had he been watching me? How much did he know? We reached the station, and that's when things started to unravel even further. Dent was still on his phone, talking to someone at the precinct when Reyes pulled me aside. "We need to talk." "About what?" I asked, my voice cracking. She glanced around, making sure no one else was listening, and then lowered her voice. "We just ran the name off the serial number on that camera you found. The one in your vent." I nodded, still on edge. "And?" Reyes hesitated before answering. "That camera, it's not just a regular model. It's high-end surveillance equipment. The kind used by professionals. Law enforcement. Private investigators." My blood ran cold. "What are you saying?" She took a deep breath. "We traced it. The manufacturer. It's a company out of state. But here's the thing, there's a name attached to it. A name that came up in their records." I felt my stomach twist. I already knew what was coming. "I don't want to hear it," I said, even though I knew I had no choice. Reyes swallowed hard. "The name on file? It's yours." I stared at her, my mind grinding to a halt. "What do you mean? That camera, those cameras? They were ordered by someone who has access to your personal records. Someone who knows exactly who you are." It didn't make sense. How could this be happening? Before I could respond, Dent entered the room, his face pale. He had a file in his hand, thick and worn. "We've got a problem," he said, throwing it on the table. I stared down at the file. A photo of a man. Mid-40s. Thin, gaunt, with greasy hair and dark, hollow eyes. He looked like the kind of guy you'd expect to see skulking in the background of a horror movie. But that wasn't what made me freeze. It was his name. Mark Hollis. I had no idea who he was. But when I saw the next set of files, the ones marked confidential, things got worse. Mark Hollis, Dent continued. He was an employee of Greenline Tech Solutions. The name Mark Hollis kept echoing in my head, like a drumbeat that wouldn't stop. Greenline Tech Solutions, it was all starting to fit together, but the pieces were too horrifying to hold. I looked up at Reyes and Dent, who were both staring at the files on the table. I could tell they were processing it just as slowly as I was. "What does this mean?" I asked, my voice trembling. "How does he know me?" Dent glanced at me, his face darkening. "This is where it gets complicated. Hollis didn't just work for Greenline Tech Solutions. He was fired under mysterious circumstances. The kind of thing they cover up. No details. But someone with access to private records would have had a lot of power." I felt like I was suffocating. The walls were closing in on me. Everything I thought I knew, my life, my safety, had been shattered. Reyes spoke again. "We checked his history. He's been in and out of several companies over the years, mostly low-level tech jobs. Nothing that stood out until recently. That's when he started hacking into personal records. And he's got a specific interest in people like you." I frowned. "People like me? What does that mean?" She shook her head. "People with potential. People he can control." The words felt like a slap to my face. And then I saw something else. A picture. A recent one. I leaned forward to look, my pulse quickening. The photo was of a man, Mark Hollis, sitting in front of a computer, a room full of monitors behind him. And in one of those monitors, I saw something that made my stomach churn. It was a live feed. a live feed from my living room. I jumped back from the table. This is insane. How could he be doing this? How could he have access to me? We don't know yet, Dent said. But one thing's clear. This isn't just about you. Hollis has been stalking a number of people, tracking them, documenting every move. And it seems like you're the one he's focused on. I didn't know what to say. I felt like I was in a nightmare, and I couldn't wake up. We need to get ahead of him, Reyes said, her voice now hard with determination. There's no telling what he'll do next. I nodded, my mind racing. But as we were about to leave the station, Dent stopped us. There's more, he said. We found something else in the crawlspace. I felt my chest tighten. What? He reached into the file and pulled out another photograph. It was a picture of me. From the back. Taken from the outside of my house. The angle was impossible to get unless someone was across the street, watching. You've been under surveillance for a lot longer than we thought, Dent said grimly. Hollis has been keeping track of you. Watching you. 4 weeks. Hannah's hand tightened around mine. How did we not know? We didn't see the signs. He's good at this. He's been hiding in plain sight. I didn't know how much more I could take. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. But I couldn't. I had to face this. I had to stop him. Where is he now? I asked, my voice sharp. Reyes exchanged a glance with Dent. We don't know. But he's close. We've traced some of his phone activity. He's nearby. And he's been watching. I felt the panic rise in my chest, but I held it together. I had to. We're going to find him, Reyes said firmly. And when we do, we're going to make sure he never touches you again. The air was thick with tension as we drove through the streets, the sounds of the police radios crackling softly in the background. Reyes was at the wheel, Dent beside her, both of them focused, eyes scanning the road, looking for any sign of Mark Hollis. I had no idea what to expect at this point. The pieces were falling into place, but nothing made sense. Why me? Why had Hollis chosen me? What did he want? The question swirled in my mind like a storm, but every time I reached out for an answer, it seemed to slip away, just out of reach. Hannah, I said softly, my voice shaking. What if we don't find him? What if he's already gone? She turned to me, her face pale but determined. We'll find him. We have to. Her words, though comforting, couldn't mask the dread crawling up my spine. I kept replaying the images in my mind, Hollis in front of his monitors, his eyes fixed on my life like a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. The thought of him having access to everything I did, everything I was, it was suffocating. But there was no time for self-pity. We had to keep moving. Reyes suddenly pulled over to the side of the road, her tires screeching on the pavement. This is it, she said, her voice sharp. He's here. I snapped forward, heart racing. How do you know? His phone pinged, she said. We traced it to this area. He's close. We just need to find him before he does something else. Dent was already out of the car, gun drawn, scanning the area. The moment we stepped out, I could feel the oppressive weight of the situation pressing down on me. It was dark now, the streetlights casting long shadows across the road. I tried to focus, but all I could think about was Hollis, and how, at any moment, he could appear from the darkness. We're going to search the block, Reyes said, her voice low. Stay close. Do not let him get the jump on you. We nodded, but the fear in my chest was overwhelming. Every rustling leaf, every creak of the sidewalk made my heart skip a beat. We moved cautiously, checking alleyways and empty cars, eyes darting around, hoping to see something, anything, that would lead us to him. Then, we saw it. A shadow moved across a rooftop. Just a flicker, but it was enough. There! Dent shouted, pointing up. We ran toward the building, adrenaline kicking in as our feet hit the pavement. Hollis was on the move, and we were closing in. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, my breath coming in short, panicked bursts. We reached the base of the building, and Reyes gestured for us to stop. She motioned for Dent to move around the back. "I'll go up. Keep him contained." It was the first time I'd seen her so focused, so ruthless. We climbed the fire escape, the metal steps groaning beneath our weight, my stomach tied in knots. Every step felt like it was dragging me toward something awful. My hands were slick with sweat as I gripped the railing, pulling myself up. I couldn't stop myself from looking over my shoulder, half expecting to see Hollis behind me, a shadow in the night. We reached the roof. And then we saw him. Mark Hollis was standing there, staring at us, a twisted grin spread across his face. He wasn't running. He wasn't even moving. It felt like the entire world had stopped. Time itself seemed to stretch, and all I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears. He spoke, his voice raspy, like he hadn't used it in years. "I'd been waiting for this moment." The moment hung in the air, thick with tension. Hollis was exactly where we wanted him, but something about his posture, the way he stood there so calmly, sent a chill through me. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't panicking. And that terrified me more than anything. Before I could react, he raised his hand. And that's when the world shifted. In that split second, everything blurred into a frantic mess of sound and movement. Hollis raised his hand, and I saw it, the weapon, glinting under the dim rooftop lights. It wasn't a gun, not a knife. It was something far worse. A device. A small, sleek, metallic object, something I could barely make out through my panic and racing heart. Then I heard it. The unmistakable hum. I froze. Reyes shouted, "Get down!" But it was too late. The world seemed to explode in a bright flash of light, the air suddenly thick with an electric crackle. My skin felt like it was burning as the force of the blast threw me back. I hit the ground hard, my head smacking the cold rooftop, and everything went black. I woke up with a gasp, my whole body shaking. I was on the ground, dazed, disoriented. The ringing in my ears was deafening, and for a few moments, I couldn't piece together what had happened. Everything felt wrong, my heart was racing, my body aching, but I couldn't make sense of anything. Then I saw it. The device was still there, glowing ominously on the rooftop, its hum now a low, steady buzz. Hollis was gone. Reyes was crouching beside me, her hand on my shoulder. "You're okay," she said, her voice strangely calm. "Just breathe." I tried to focus, but my vision swam. What was that? What happened? The device was an EMP, Dent's voice cut in from behind me. I turned my head to see him standing near the edge of the roof, his expression grim. Electromagnetic pulse. It fried everything. I looked around, seeing the signs of destruction all around. The rooftop was littered with broken tech, phones, cameras, computers shattered. The pulse had knocked out everything. The city lights blinked erratically in the distance, their steady rhythm gone. "He's gone," Reyes said softly, almost to herself. "He planned this. We never stood a chance." The realization hit me like a wave. Hollis hadn't just been stalking me. He hadn't just been watching. He had orchestrated everything. Every step. Every move. The cameras, the surveillance, the EMP, it had all been part of his plan. But why? "We need to find him," I said, struggling to sit up. "We can't let him get away." "We will," Reyes said, though there was a heaviness to her voice that made me doubt how true those words were. "But he's not done. Not by a long shot." I glanced at her, my thoughts racing. "What do you mean?" Reyes met my gaze. "He's been moving through the city. He's planted multiple devices, not just on you. He's been tracking everyone in his sights." I felt sick. "What do you mean, everyone?" Her eyes darkened. "People connected to the tech industry. People with power. People who can make things happen." I didn't understand at first. But then it clicked. Mark Hollis hadn't just targeted me. He had been targeting everyone who could stop him. Everyone who might stand in the way of whatever plan he was executing. The weight of it settled on me like a cold blanket. I hadn't just been caught in some random act of obsession. I had been part of something far, far bigger than I could have ever imagined. The hunt wasn't over. It was only just beginning. But as we stood on that rooftop, the night air thick with the smell of burnt electronics, I realized something. Hollis was smarter than I had given him credit for. And now, we were the ones left scrambling to put the pieces together before everything unraveled. I turned to Reyes and Dent, my mind made up. We need to stop him. No more running. No more hiding. He's not getting away with this. And as the city lights flickered in the distance, I knew one thing for certain: we were no longer the hunters. We were the hunted.